All right. As I said, my name is Gary Fowler. I'm the CEO president of GSD, Get You Done Venture Studios. We're a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in Silicon Valley. I've been involved in startups for 37 years, 17 startups and several unicorns I've been involved in. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai, an AI HR tech company that was acquired by Vizier in Canada that I co-founded with Dr. David Yang. We believe at GSD that intellectual capacity is evenly spread around the world, but opportunities are not. So today, GSD has 143 companies in our portfolio from 57 countries. We're in Africa, Ghana, Zambia, South Africa, Nigeria, North Africa, Egypt, Israel, Dubai, UAE, all over Latin America, all over Europe, Slovenia, Slovakia, the Czech Republic. We believe that there's a great opportunity, that there's three pillars that each and every one of us needs to have. One is access to capital. Two is operational expertise. And the third pillar is a network and the network and contacts. And they're critically important. Our feeling is that you can pivot any company to becoming a unicorn. So with that, I'd like to get started. Today, we're going to talk about how to secure seed and pre-seed investment for your startup. So I see some familiar names here. It's great to have you on board. So first of all, what is pre-seed and seed investment? I know for those early stage startups from all over the planet that are attending today, it's interesting for them. And also, what is the significance in the startup ecosystem? And part of you have great, incredible ideas, but part of it is to take those ideas to develop products, to be able to validate your ideas. As my friends Bob Dorff and Steve Blank say, it's about customer development, making those ideas turn into reality so people want to buy your products and take them out of your hands. And of course, achieving key milestones. What's important for you? What's important for those potential investors? What's important for the market? So what is pre-seed? So pre-seed is the initial cash. They say it's from friends, family, fools, angel investors, high net worth individuals. And I want to talk about those high net worth individuals a bit today. But it's the initial funding. It's to be able to help you develop your ideas, to be able to do some research, to go out and build a prototype that's interesting. You've got a great idea. You've got a lot of credibility. But what you want to do is you want to go down through and take those ideas and turn them to some type of reality. Now, seed funding, on the other hand, is where you have a startup where you're looking for some external funding to prove that the model works, to get those early customers. Again, customer development. One of the things it's important, I'll give you a little hack, is that before you start to really build up too much, you want to take that product, your MVP, your minimal viable product, take it out to the market, test it to make sure it's something that people want. Sometimes, especially with technical founders, sometimes we think we know better than what our potential customers want. We need to make sure that they're willing to grab it out of your hands, and important, that they're willing to pay money for those products or services. So important. If you get a chance, there's the Startup Owner's Manual by Steve Blank and Bob Dorff is really critical. I would take a look at that book. Anyhow, and I also wrote a book about startups going global that Angel, who's online, can send out to you if you'd like. So seed investors are usually angels. I work a lot personally at GSD with family offices from all over the world. The family office investing from our perspective is up about 30%. The post-Series A investing is down anywhere from 40 to 70%. But the family office seem to be very, very eager, especially for companies that are using things like generative AI, large language model, multimodal, multi-agent models. The other thing is early stage venture capitalists, and of course, incubators, early stage incubators. So Y Combinator, 500 startups, plug and play. We're venture builders. what we look at is we look for companies that have those ideas, that have some type of product, that have some revenue, and taking those companies global. So when you're preparing for the investment, this is important. You need to make sure you've got your deck so that it can paint pictures with words. It's compelling. People can feel your words. You've got to make sure you identify a target market and clearly articulate what value you're going to bring to those customers, what value you're going to bring to those investors, what value you're going to bring to those partners. You got to make sure when you're out there that you've done enough research on what you have so that you can demonstrate clearly that there is a market opportunity for your product or service. So what does that mean? Go out there, look at the Gartner Group, look at the research report, Forrester, research out there that basically supports your position. The founding team, I call it the rule of threes, but you want to have somebody that can enchant the potential investors, to enchant those partners, to enchant those customers. So having people, so from my perspective, having somebody that's marketing, sales, operational is important. Having somebody that's got that technology background that can build the stuff that we dream about is absolutely important. But the third pillar is having somebody that's got a financial/operations background that can make sure that the company's moving in the right direction. And of course, all this, you need to make sure that you built that minimal viable product. What do I mean by minimal viable product? It's so that you don't over-engineer it and spend too much money and time that basically showcase your solution or the concept you have. MVP. So the relationships with investors, it's really important. You look at it, having that handshake, having that personal touch, whether you've met the folks one-on-one, is really important because it's all about, your networking contacts again and how they feel about you. A lot of investing is done based on stories, right? 90% of building a billion-dollar company is storytelling, but you need to get out of the door, go to those events, go to those startup meetings. Don't be shy. Go up and talk to folks. Again, if you've got a team and you're a technology founder, find somebody that's got marketing, sales, business development expertise that can go out, that's not shy, that's extroverted, and go out and talk to those potential partners. Ask them, if they're not the person that invests in your, for instance, if you're doing supply chain, if they're not that person, who do they know? Who can they do an introduction? Is there somebody they think you should talk to? Leverage your network for introductions to investors. Make sure, everybody, you've got your LinkedIn profile up to date, because one of the first things people do today is they look at your LinkedIn profile. Make sure if you got Facebook, though you don't have any nefarious pictures out there, keep it consistent, clear and concise. The other thing is make sure you're writing articles looked at as an industry expert. It's important today because they're going to Google your name. Research and identify investors who focus on seed or pre-seed investments. Go out and use things like Crunchbase. Go out and look through LinkedIn profiles. Go out and from whatever sources you have, make sure from an investment standpoint, that you've got a clear and powerful methodology that's surgically laser precise, focus on the people that not only do seed or pre-seed investments, but actually focus on your particular space. The other thing is pitch competition. So the unicorn battle competition, the plug and play, the Y Combinator, 500 star, on and on and on. I just did one for Koreans. Go out and find those competitions and pitch, because your job is to present it so that it's so beautiful. Again, the people want to grab it out of your hands. Practice your pitching as much as you can. Use your phone, put your phone on a holster, look at yourself, go down through and practice so it feels perfect. So engage with those investors online and engage with them through pitch competitions. So what do we need in creating a compelling pitch? We've got to be clear and concise. Sometimes people put so many words on their decks, you can't even read it. Make sure you communicate the problem you're solving and your unique solution. Be clear and concise. Articulate how big, what is the target market? What is part of that target market that you're going to address? Articulate it clearly and show it. Investors want to grow their money. Show the path for growth, the path to success. Why are you better than everybody else? Showcase your competitive advantage and your competitive leverage for everybody out there. The other thing is, you need to explain how you're going to get to revenue, how you're going to get to profitability, and what is your strategy clearly to be able to monetize it. Because if you come up with something that's interesting, you've developed, that's interesting and exciting, but you can't make money on it, it doesn't matter. Think about what is your monetization strategy. It's not all about free, especially today. It's about how you can create value and money and profit. What are your key milestones that you're going to achieve? What are your future milestones that you're going to achieve? Show them so they feel comfortable. Now, the one thing is, once you do that, they're going to hold your feet to the fire. They're going to want to make sure that you do what you say you're going to do. So I would go down through. So hold on. So those clear milestones, present a realistic financial forecast and what you're going to do with the funds. Clearly, how are you going to use those funds, use of funds, to build a realistic business using a real financial forecast. So it's not loose, it's not fuzzy. Again, it's clear and concise. This is what's going to happen. Of course, if you build a 3-year model, people don't expect after 3 years that you're going to be right on. I mean, it's like fortune telling. But they want to see that you've got a strategy, a path to success. Your job, each one of you out there, is to clearly show that passage, that direction for success. What are the key components of a comprehensive deck? So, Guy Kawasaki does a tremendous job with his rules of building PowerPoint presentations. I strongly suggest you just Google Guy Kawasaki and building PowerPoint presentations. He does a great job about fonts and the content. But the first thing is, what is the problem and what is the value proposition? Also, from my perspective, and I would move this up even more, but your team, why your team is that team that's going to win. Why that team is going to be better than anybody else on the planet. Why that team is going to be successful. Your team and key personnel. You don't need to go down through and create paragraphs about each person. Just bullet points, the highlights. 2 exits, graduated from IIT in India, those kind of things. But make sure that those nuggets, those words are very, very powerful and add to the story. Your market analysis and target audience. What market? What is the target audience? Your product or solution overview. Again, I talked about monetization and the business model. What do the competitive landscape look like, and how are you going to be different than those competitors? If you've got revenue, if you got traction, I must say that is incredible, because it shows that what you do, it shows that you got product market fit, and it shows that you're on the right path. Traction and milestones. Even if it's $5,000, $2,000, $10,000 a month, it shows you're heading in the right direction. The other thing you want to show is you're going to have continual growth, right? They don't want it up and down and all the time. 1 month 2,000, next month 5, the next month 1. They want to show some consistency. I talked about the team and key personnel, and I talked about Gary's rule of threes. Have somebody that's got marketing, sales, business development expertise that can present and compel folks. Have somebody that's got a course of technology background that can make those dreams real, and somebody else that can tie it together, an operations person. Your financial projections and funding requirements. So these are the steps that I use. So angel investors, the holy grail from my perspective are family offices. Some of the, if you look at it, 1% of the population has 99% of the wealth. Go out and find family offices. Family offices are looking for cool technologies that can help them maintain multi-generational wealth. They're not easy to get to, but there are a lot of events out there. Look for those family offices. I really love working with them because they do like to develop long-term relationships. And in my opinion, they're limited partners in most of the venture funds that nobody talks about. So you've got insurance companies, you got pension funds, then you got high net worth individuals, where they can be incredibly helpful. And I just had it happen to one of our portfolio companies. One of the families got involved who happened to be in the automotive environment, very high level automotive environment. They called one of their friends right on the phone when I was there on a conference call, a WhatsApp call, called up one of their friends, got them interested, who had worldwide distribution. All of a sudden, the company not only raised funds from them, but also had the chance to be able to have worldwide distribution. You need to find those people. So how do you do that? Look for family office events. Try to get in to be able to pitch to those events. Some of the things in places like Silicon Valley, they've got the Band of Angels. Go out and go to some of those events. Practice your pitch. Those are angel investors. Of course, venture capital funds, they are professional investment firms. They focus on early stage startups, later stage startups, pre-series A, which is early stage, all the way up. Startup accelerators and incubators, so funding, at GSD, we say it's like dating before you get married. We look at it, we are a family office too. We look for companies that are interesting for us, right? You never know when you go work with a company, is it right for my family or another family? Is it rent for a family office or a venture fund? So you need to seek out those programs that provide the funding. The mentorship, I told you about operational expertise. It's critically important because there aren't a lot of Sherpas out there to guide you through this process. But having somebody that's gone down through it, I personally been through this for 37 years in Silicon Valley, and I know some of the other folks on the call today have done the same. Having those connections and contacts are really important because it opens up the door in a friendly way for you. Government grants or programs, look for, based on your particular country or particular region, what kind of government grants are out there, what kind of programs to support. I know places like Estonia have been incredibly supportive. Some of the countries in Latin America, some of the African countries also, but find those programs that can be supportive of you, the government programs. Maybe it's as simple as having outreach so that they pay for travel for you to come to a place like Silicon Valley so you can present, and they set up events, which, by the way, some of those countries do today. In fact, I'll be presenting at one in the next 2 weeks. Crowdfunding platforms, online platforms where you can go out and contribute to startup funding. Places like so look for those crowdfunding opportunities. There are also things like Angels List. So in terms of, what are the steps? And again, I called this is keep it simple, stupid, the KISS principle. So submit an application or pitch deck, but remember, it is best to have a warm introduction, because if you have a warm introduction and somebody says, listen, I like this deck, take a look at it, you're going to be much more likely, that VC is going to be much more likely, or angel investor or family office, to take it seriously. Use a trusted network. They go down through and they do the initial screening and the due diligence. Is this interesting for a firm or not? Do the financials look interesting for us? And that's just from a first glance, or not? Do we like the person or not? In-person meetings or virtual pitch meetings, what I've talked about, they're all over the world. Get involved in those. Practice a pitch. Practice makes perfect. In terms of negotiating terms and conditions, so if it was me, I would look at it, but you want to make sure you've got the right kind of legal advice to be able to help you to make sure that you're not going to make a mistake. Because what you don't want to do, it's like building a house. You got to make sure that the house has a firm foundation for the future. It's the same thing with building a company. Make sure your foundation is firm for success. I talked about the legal and financial due diligence. So we just talked about legal, but also on the financial side, they're going to go down through and make sure everything lines up. They're going to make sure that your cap table is right. They're going to make sure that the agreements that you have in place today are right. They're going to look at things like IP. They're going to look at what could be considered an asset with your company. So make sure if you have IP, you've got it all laid out. And then, of course, closing the round. From the time you get started to the time you end up getting funded can be anywhere from 4 to 8 months from the first point of contact. Can be less. I've done it less, but generally I would say that's where it is. Used to be 4 to 6, but again, it moves. And, you find a right investor that's excited, it may move even faster than that. So some of the things you're going to hear about, these safe agreements. So safe agreements for future equity. So this is an agreement between an investor and a company that provides rights to the investor for future equity in the company. These things are important because pre-Series A, you're not sure what the value of the company is, because you're early stage, you haven't gotten enough sales or any sales to be able to really value what the company is. So safe agreements, and of course, convertible notes. Convertible notes is a form of short-term debt that converts into equity. So safe agreements are not. Convertible notes are short-term debt in conjunction with a future, typically in conjunction with a future funding round. So you need to demonstrate traction. Again, as I said, it's just all of us out there. You want to make sure that what you're saying is right and that people really want it. So how do you show traction? You acquire early customers or users. You've got highlight positive user feedback or testimonials. You get videos, take those videos and put them up on your website. Take those case studies and publish those case studies. I mean, you got things like ChatGPT that can help you today, but take that information, get that feedback. What it does is gives people a stamp on it of insurance that the probability that you have the right product or service is right. And the customers, given that feedback, truly helps. Showing your revenue or growth, of course. Showing revenue means that you've got the product market fit. You've got the right team in place. It would assume you have the right team in place, and you also got the potential to grow. Pilot projects to get started. I do it all the time. I've done it in my past with all the companies. Get some pilot projects so you can work out the kinks. Is there something that works with this product or not? What needs to be pivoted or not? Is this the right way to sell it or not? Does this work in the customer's environment or not? So pilot projects, get out, get some pilot projects, and also partnerships. Partnerships that can help you grow your business. Remember, the cost of sales go down when you have these partnerships and distributorships and those kind of things in place, but you got to make sure you're not giving away everything to these partners. So working out a model that's a win-win, you want to make sure that everything, in my opinion, that you do is a win-win. You don't want to have losers. You want to make sure everybody feels good about the deal. Key investment considerations and terms that entrepreneurs should be aware of. So, what kind of ownership percentage do you have? How much equity in the company? Do you have an employee stock program inside of your company? Why is that important? Because you want people to feel vested in the company and take it as their company. So making sure you've got employee stock pool, could be anywhere from 14 to 20%, but having that pool out there for people that you value can help grow your business. Remember, 100% of zero is zero. So what you want to do is get people that are vested in helping your company to be able to grow. The valuation of the startup. What are the startup valued at? One of the things that you can do that I've done is I look at similar companies that could be interesting, that could be compared to my company and shown how they've grown, and use that as a track to how we could potentially grow. So something out, just kind of like real estate, you look for comparables, but something to be able to value it, or the growth of the market, how fast the market's growing. What is the investment amount and what are they going to be the funding milestones? So we're all on the same page when you're having those board meetings and you're discussing the company. You've set up the right kind of milestones. So what you have to do is make sure that you spend time setting those milestones. And guess what? In life, it's about pivoting. Sometimes it doesn't stay the same, but if it doesn't, talk about why and why this new road or path is going to work. Investor rights and board representation. Be very, very careful in terms of the board. What happens is you want to make sure that, first of all, you have smart investors that can help you grow the business. It's not just about the money. It's about being able to grow your business. So make sure when you look at your board that they're going to be a partner. It's like being married. You're with that partner anywhere from 5 to 7 years, and you want to make sure that that's the right kind of partner. So board representation is important. The one thing is you don't want to lose control of your company. So you got to think about that. So make sure when you're going down through these kind of things, if you have a lawyer friend that can go down through, a lawyer on board that can give you guidance, it's critically important. And also, what are the rights of the investors? So they want to make sure their rights are protected. You want to make sure that you're also protected as a company. So look at those investor rights, look at the board representation, look at the funding milestones, the valuation of the company, equity stake, and ownership percentage. So Q&A, if you want to put some things in chat, I'm happy to talk to you. So you can ask your questions in chat. Yes, we will get a link to the recording. Any questions? Should I convert my Illinois LLC to a Delaware C Corp? If I was you, I would go out and I don't know your situation, and I'm not a lawyer. If for me, having an LLC, from my perspective, going out and raising funds, I would create it into a C corporation. But again, I would go down through and talk to a lawyer about that. And if it's gonna stay in Illinois, you want to find somebody that's local to Chicago. But C corporations are good because it shows that you're on the right kind of path. I haven't seen many LLCs that have raised money because of the way that they're treated in terms of the corporation. where can we submit our pitch? So Angel is online. So Angel is running my super scaler GSD. So we pick anywhere from 4 to 6 companies every 17 weeks. We put them in GSD. The companies that we have a little bit different model in terms of GSD. So generally the companies have revenue. Our thing is using those 3 pillars we're talked about is how to be able to take a company and turn it into a unicorn. We have 143 companies we've worked with, I said, from 57 countries around the world. From $0 revenue, one of my companies is from MIT, an MBA from MIT, all the way up to and including companies that have over $150 million in revenue. In fact, one of our companies right now is raising $100 million. So there we say, how do we build an AI chatbot for lead generation? I'm sure there are a lot of people online, but there are companies like Runday.ai. That's a company you might want to talk to that can help you. So, Kristen, I would, in terms of, you say your attorney mentioned you can also show your plan to convert to S Corp and cap table once you have a serious investor. Absolutely. So one of the things you want to do is, just for my opinion, is conserve cash as much as possible. So showing what can be done after the fact, or even moving. So if you're in a foreign entity and you want to move to a place like Silicon Valley, this is going to take place after we get our funding done. How do you find the right kind of lawyer? How would you specify that lawyer? I mean, I work a lot with Pillsbury, a law firm. I think I saw Roger Royce's online. I think Roger's a great lawyer. There's a lot of great lawyers in Silicon Valley to be able to work with, but you want one that has experience. You want one that has experience working with startups. You don't want to just go out. Sometimes you have generalist attorneys that talk about that work in all kinds of environments. You want specifically ones that work with startups. So firms like Pillsbury, Wilson Sonsini, there are a lot of them, but I would find one of them. What should I look for in an IP? What should I look for attorney about IP? I mean, you just got to find somebody that's got, just Google online, somebody that's got a lot of expertise in intellectual property, and specifically in your area. Any tips on growing a network of angel investors? You just got to get out there. You got to get out there and present, because those angel investors, so places like the Band of Angels in Silicon Valley, groups like that all over the world. Unicorn Battle is another place. There are a lot of angel investors comes there. No, I mean, the situation is, my own background is artificial intelligence. I started one of the first generative AI companies back in 2016, pre-transformer models. So I'm into AI, I've been into AI for 28 years. And so we're looking for companies that have the right kind of technology. And what we do is kind of like having clay, take that clay and turn it into a sculpture that can be put into a place like the Louvre. So we're looking for that clay that we can shape. Of course, if the company's got some revenue, that helps us make some decisions, but we're looking for that raw clay. We work with the companies inside of GSD for 14 plus weeks. So we take it down, we pick 4 to 6 companies, we look at their sales, marketing, business development, and how do we position that company to be so it looks like a unicorn? And how do we bring it into our networking context to be able to help? Is it a great investment for my family or one of the other families that I said, or VC? So any tips for family office hotspots? Any personnel to go to options? So, I mean, the thing is, the families are a bit secretive. You got to look for those family office events. And So like these pitch competitions are out there. Many times the family offices will go to those events. You just got to be extroverted and go out and shake hands. They're there because they do have representatives at those events. What's an important thing as an aspiring accelerator we have to look for? Um, so I'm not sure what kind of accelerator. The situation is it's having the expertise, the practical expertise, having success behind you, having raised funds. Those kind of things are important. And of course, the network or contacts are critically important. Can you recommend? So looking to meet a technical co-founder to join our team in exchange for equity. It says the team at partnersocial.app. Well, I'm sure we have 78 people here today. I'm sure somebody will reach out to you. But I would go out to, go out, just Google it. There's all kinds of different sites that are out there where you can find co-founders. So I would use one of those sites. Let's see, anyone interested in the automobile industry? It's nice to hear you say, well, I say for some sense it's idiotic to include them. Well, in my opinion, think about it. You want to know what the path is for success. I'm not going to invest in something, in my opinion, and it's my money, right? So I'm not going to invest in something and I don't see a path where this company's got their financial model that it makes sense. Maybe it's not going to be perfect, but at least they thought it out. And so from my perspective, we're a little bit different because we have our super scaler and we are a family office. But for me, I just want to know your path. Maybe the rationale needs to be tweaked a little bit, or maybe there's a much bigger opportunity. That's where, we look at taking those companies, that raw clay, and turn it into a sculpture. Let's see, what else? So you can reach me. My chief of staff is, I'll put it in here for all of you. You can reach me here. So again, we have our super scaler will be starting at the end of January, the beginning of February. You can reach Jane at gsdvs.com. Jane is my chief of staff, and she can coordinate some time. So there you go for all of you. This is a great time, in my opinion. This is a great time for each one of you to get out of the door. It's like having a Ferrari in the garage. You got to get your Ferrari out of the garage. Some people keep their cars in the garage and never take them out. Get it out. Drive it in the neighborhood. But the most important thing is, can you win the race? Go out and win the race. Each one of you have the opportunity to done it. Listen, I grew up on a farm in Pennsylvania, a poor country boy. You surely have incredible, but you got to get out. Use those 3 pillars: operational expertise, networking contacts, and access to capital. You have those 3. Our thing is you can pivot any company to becoming a unicorn. I'm not saying it's easy, and you got to have a resilient team, but it works. Let me see. So 4 to 8 months to secure funding. So the first thing is, the intro meeting, I had it in the presentation, but the intro meeting, they're just going to validate whether the partners, they generally have meetings on Monday mornings, validate whether it's something that they would be interested in their partners. They'll take it in the meeting. If that happens, they'll take it to the next step. Make sure when you get set up for those meetings that you got your own checklist. You've got a data room set up. You've got your decks looking fine. You've got your LinkedIn profiles in shape. You got your co-founders on board or co-founder, so that the company, it looks investable, right? Let's see, what else? What other questions do we have? So yeah, if you got, listen, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with me. I'm happy to talk to you. Go out there. The thing is, it's not about the talk, it's about the action. Each one of you control your destiny. Get out of the door, start talking to people. It's not about just developing product, it's about building an incredible story. 90% of what building $1 billion company is your story. 90%, in my opinion, of getting funding is being an incredible storyteller. Each one of you have to be able to do that. There, I say somebody's connect with me if you're Abrar, if you're looking for VC funding. So listen, it's never easy. I've gone down and I've done this for 37 years. We took a company called IET from Israel. We brought it to the U.S. I was hired by Oak Investment Partners in Palo Alto. We changed the company's name to Click Software. We did an IPO on NASDAQ. It was bought by Salesforce for $1.35 billion. If we can do it, you can each do it. You each have that opportunity, but run as fast as you can. Generative AI, if it's used and not just as an API, used to be able to dramatically increase your efficiencies and effectiveness of your company, is really important today. Why? Because the amount of data on this planet today is about 123 zettabytes. If you took CDs or DVDs and stacked them one on top of another, today it would go 94 times between the Earth and the Moon. We're in a state of infobesity. What I'm saying is these tools help us solve those problems. It can help each one of your companies to be able to work faster, like I said, more efficiently and more effective. Even in your own personal cloud, you get about 300,000 items. Think about it. How many times in the last 2 weeks somebody say, I sent you a message. Did you get it? Where did you send it? I sent it your email. Which one? Your corporate, your Gmail, Yahoo, etc. I can't find it. We send it again. So we're inundated with information. Using generative AI and tools like that as part of your technology will dramatically increase, in my opinion, the ability to be able to raise funds if it's used in the right kind of way. What else? So what else do we have? I think that's it. What time do we have? We're at 11:43. Listen, thank you for each and every one of you joining us today. Every 2 weeks, I have GSD Presents Silicon Valley AI and Tech. I've done almost 900 podcasts. You're welcome to join that. Connect with me on LinkedIn, Gary Fowler, Fowler International. You see my QR code here. Feel free to use that. Listen, we're here. We believe it's not about a shotgun approach. It's about taking a laser beam, that you can take a company that's a medium company and turn it into a company that's incredibly successful if you have those pillars. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. We'll be back at you again in a few weeks with another exciting edition of Building a Unicorn. Enjoy the new year to all of you out there, and stay safe.